right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Cheska Cordero from Insightful Accountant and your host for today. Now, before we actually start, I want to go ahead and ask your question of the day, as you guys know that I love. As you guys are kind of coming in and settling down in front of your computers, your phones, or your tablets. And for those who are actually already with us in the room, you guys can, feel free to answer if you want to. Okay, the question of the day is, okay, so Janelle, if a cassette or a disc were to get stuck in your car's player and it was stuck in a loop, what song or album or singer would you think would be playing?
Oh my gosh. That's a really tough one because man, I love old rock music and I love country.
Mhm.
So probably if I had to pick one, I really might have to go back to Prince. Like that's gonna take me a little bit, but oh my gosh, the Purple Rain cassette. I loved it.
Beth.
Yeah, so good. And I'm embarrassed to say cassette now. Everybody knows I've really dated myself.
No, I used to have cassettes too. It's okay. With a little pencil also partnered with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I always used to answer like TLC, but then going back into like the depths of my memories of being a kid, I had this favorite cassette that was side A was Britney, side B was Christina. And that got played. That was stuck in my Walkman for half a year just because I
Oh,
enjoyed it so much.
that's so funny. That's great.
Yeah, on nostalgia. We love it. Okay.
Good old days.
Yeah. All right. Good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Again, I am Cheska Cordero from Insightful Accountant and your host for today. Now, in this marketing talks, we'll be talking about social media strategy, hacks, how-tos, and not hyperventilating with the lovely Janel Sykora. Now, I'll hand this off to Janelle in just a little bit after I cover a few of the housekeeping items. Now, as you know, there is no CPE for this as it is just a 30-minute webinar. And if you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A panel. And remember to be specific. Don't just say what you mean. You got to ask, hey, Janelle, what did you mean by you would love Prince to be on loop in your car if it were to get stuck? Mainly because she might not get to your question right after you put it in there. Now, we'll be sending you a copy of the slide deck and the link to the recording after the webinar. And it's also going to be up on our YouTube channel within about 24 hours. So if you want to go check that out over there, along with many other webinars that Janelle has done in the past that might be of interest to you. Now, I will also be putting that link to our YouTube channel into our chat for you guys to check out. And do not forget that we have many webinars for you every month, whether you're interested in practice management, marketing like this one, everything tax, or all things QuickBooks. Insightful Accountants got something for you. Now, you can check out all of our webinars that are available to you over on our educational webinars page on our site. And I'll also be putting that link into our chat. And speaking of webinars, mark your calendars for Insightful Accountants Future Forward Integrations and Workflows on May 21 to 22 and get ready for 8 exciting webinars over 2 days, where each is eligible for a CPE certificate. Now, do not miss this opportunity to enhance your skills and stay ahead in the industry. So again, if you have not subscribed to our newsletter, join the tens of thousands of accounting professionals who rely on Insightful Accountant to keep them up to date on the news and updates impacting today's accounting professional. Now, I will be rolling out all of those links and the copy of the slide deck throughout the webinar in case you might have missed it the first time I put it up there. So watch out for that in the chat. All right, then. Well, Janelle, that's it for me. Welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Cheska. Thank you very much. And welcome everyone to the webinar. As Cheska said, I'm Janel Sykora. I'm co-founder of Cajabra Marketing for Accountants. And today we are talking about social media. I'm excited to talk about that. We could spend hours on that, but what I've done was try and pull together some high level tips, tricks, hacks, so that you can actually walk away from this and do something with it. And I'm gonna qualify this first and tell you, I get it. I understand that the world of social media can feel really intimidating, especially when you're a busy professional like you guys are. So the goal here is just to simplify social media marketing for you guys, and to focus on some really practical strategies that you can walk away with confidently, and to walk away with so that you're ready to actually make social media work for your firm. So without any further delay, we're going to start with a question. So I'm going to make this a little more interactive. I know we're not doing CPE for this, but Cheska, if you could throw the poll up, I'm just curious. This is a great question for accountants. Are you looking to grow your business? Now, just yes or no, super simple. And a lot of times I hear from accountants who are like, I have more business than I know what to do with. We're trying to shed business. So this question looks a little deeply into that, because what I really want to know is, if you had the right clients, right, the ones that are sticky, that are paying you that monthly retainer or maintenance fee or whatever it is that you call that, do you want to grow your business with those types of clients? So I'm going to give you a minute to answer that. And so Cheska, can you see the answers coming in, or can you see them on your end?
Yes, I can. We need about two more, but if you want to take it down, or we can.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. It was just a simple question.
Okay. All right.
All right. How did it?
Share. There we go.
Perfect. Oh, awesome. Okay, great. You guys are all in the right place. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you. All right. So it looks like everybody 100%. Wow. Well, you guys all get an A+ for showing up. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So why bother? All right. So let's talk about social media. If you are looking for growth, which all of you are, growth in any way, social media can be a really effective part of your strategy. Now, it's not going to be your whole and all be all, but it can be an effective part of your strategy. I think a good effective growth strategy encompasses lots of things, but this can be a piece of it. So you may think social media is superficial, depending on what your experience is with it, but it really is a pretty powerful business tool. Not just a place for, to get stuck going down a rabbit hole looking at dog videos like, I do when I have 5 minutes and I just want to, just chill out for a few minutes. So it actually helps your potential clients find you, and it helps you expand your visibility beyond that personal network that you've got. It allows you to showcase your expertise directly, which translates into building trust and showing that you have industry expertise, especially if you're focused on a specific niche, which if you go back and listen to some of my prior webinars, I talk about the importance of niching down. And social media is a great place to showcase your expertise in a specific industry or service line, whatever your niche is. And then from a relationship standpoint, when people are following you, they really actually feel connected with you. There's some level of relationship to nurture there. They feel like they know you, even though you may not know them. And overall, posting and having a social media presence does add a human touch. And it really allows you to give your firm some personality. And that's very, very important. As you'll hear me say, again, people buy from people. They don't necessarily buy from a company. They buy with emotion, and they buy based on relationships, and they buy from people. All right. So we know that we have to have it. We know it's important, and it's a big piece of our strategy. Maybe not a huge piece, but it is a piece, substantial piece of our overall strategy for firm growth. Now, how do you know which platform to focus on? This is the point where I often see the overwhelm set in. A lot of times you think, I've got to be everywhere. I just don't have time for that. I don't know what I'm doing on all these different platforms. And I am here to tell you, you don't have to be everywhere. Understand this, different platforms, they have different strengths. So the first thing to think about is it's important to know who your ideal clients are. Again, I say that every time we're together. Understanding your ideal clients is where everything starts, right? But once you understand exactly who your ideal clients are, then you can figure out where they hang out online. So, for example, for most accountants, especially those of you guys who want to serve business owners, LinkedIn is a no-brainer. You have to be on LinkedIn. Other platforms can be optional, right? Depending on what your goals are and what your resources are. But I will tell you, it's better to be really good, even excellent at one platform than mediocre at several. Mediocre will not serve you. It will be a waste of your time. So some of the platforms here, understanding where your audience is. For example, if your audience is influencers, you're going to need to be on Instagram. We're going to talk more about that here in a second, but I do want to give you a couple of interesting facts specifically about YouTube. YouTube is actually the second largest search engine next to Google. And it's a space where a lot of millennials and Gen Z business owners hang out, especially Gen Z. Gen Z, as you guys probably know, it's known as the very highly entrepreneurial generation. And they strongly prefer, and this is a fact, video content over text-based content for learning and for entertainment. So case in point, I have a daughter who is a Gen Z. She's 25, so she's 3 years out of college, 3.5 years. And she is a business owner. She'll never have a W-2. She's had a business she started since college, and she's very successful at it. She's a complete entrepreneur, go-getter. She, interestingly, does not have a TV in her apartment and cares less about Netflix or anything else. You know what she does for entertainment and for learning? YouTube, 100%. Now, she's not unique. We also have a house guest right now where we have a young lady who's a year younger than her, also Gen Z, visiting us for a couple of weeks while she waits to move into her new apartment. She's from out of state. She's a friend, family friend. And guess what? When she came, I immediately said, hey, here's our Netflix sign in, here's how you work the TV, all that good stuff. She's like, I don't even need it. I don't watch TV. And I'm like, wait, what? You don't watch TV? Nope, only watch YouTube. So I tell you this because if you want to reach those Gen Z entrepreneurs, and if that's the area you're serving, you really do need to consider being on YouTube. Okay. And before you freak out and think, oh, I don't like being on video, don't worry. We're going to talk more about that. So once you decide on your platform or two, and I would urge you, again, pick one, be great at it. If you love social media or you really feel like you need to be on a couple of platforms, then pick two. That's fine. Don't overwhelm yourself. But let's talk about posting frequency. Post when you have something relevant to post. When it comes to LinkedIn and Facebook, especially. If you have an event, if you have a new update, if you've got something relevant to share, not just noise, don't just post to post. If you have something relevant, then post it. Commit to a cadence, and we're going to talk about how to do that and some hacks for that here in a few minutes. When you're looking at a different platform, like Instagram as an example, stories and hashtags are super important. That's even to a degree very important on Facebook as well. The two of them are owned obviously by the same company. And then, of course, if you are going to venture into TikTok world, that's also important, the frequency and the hashtags. So if you're going to go and choose one of them as a platform, let's just say Instagram, that's when you are really going to need a strategy and a very strong cadence. For example, I spoke with a firm a few weeks ago who said, we really need to be on Facebook because they were convinced that their ideal clients had to be on Facebook. And the owner said, the thing is, we don't have time to do that right now. So I'm thinking maybe if we even post twice a month on Instagram, that will be fine. And my answer was, don't bother. Don't bother. No, that is such a fast-paced, active platform. Unless you're going to be able to post very, very frequently and really leverage stories and reels and everything Instagram has to offer, I wouldn't do it. If you're going to do it, you need to do it right. All right. Just going to take a quick pause for questions. I don't see any questions, so we are good. We're going to keep rocking. Okay. Now, if you're on my last webinar about building a content strategy, you know that content indeed is king. And that applies to social media as well. It's not just about blog posts or any of the other content that you create as a firm. But first, let's think about types of content, okay? Mix it up. And when I say types of content, I mean on social media. Mix it up. Think about things like blog posts or business and tax tips, even client testimonials, Google reviews, frequently asked questions. Those are the types of things, updates, events, upcoming webinars. Those are the types of content that you can be posting in social media. But make it visual. If you guys haven't heard of or used Canva in the past, I highly recommend it. You can use it free, but the pro account, the paid account, I think is only $12 a month. I can't even remember. I've been using it for years. It's so easy to use, and it really does help you create really beautiful things that are appealing in social media and that generate some engagement. So instead of just doing text, think about creating some visuals like infographics or listicles, which if you don't know what a listicle is, it would be like the top 5 things you can write off in your business, or a top 5 or 10 reasons, but it's a quick list that people can scan. And those are very, very popular in social media. Also, short videos are a great way to make it visual. Again, people really connect with video content, especially the Gen Zs, as I was mentioning. And then feel free to repurpose a lot of these things. So for instance, when you create a blog post, as an example, you could take that and break it up into 3 different social posts to promote the blog. If you do a video, you could turn a video into a blog post. Or you could cut the video into clips and share it that way. So really think about how you can repurpose content that you've already created so that you don't feel overwhelmed, like you're having to go back and create something brand new every time you create a post. The other thing that I will tell you is that, like I said a minute earlier, people do business with people. And I encourage you to inject some personality into your social posting. By that, I mean maybe some occasional lightheartedness, some humor, poking fun at yourself, or, just talking about stress during tax season or any other season of the year. People love humor. So don't shy away from that. It doesn't obviously have to be all humorous, but every once in a while, a funny post is a welcome sight. Also, I tell people, in order to give your social media presence some personality, don't make it all about like just the firm or just you. Highlight your staff. It's always good for your clients to see the human behind the role, right? So maybe if you've got a sizable staff, or if you don't, doesn't really matter. Maybe do a staff highlight once a week. So maybe Tuesdays or Team Tuesdays or something like that. And then when you do a staff highlight, try and make it fun, make it humorous, add like one little injection of humor or one little personal thing about someone that they're okay with sharing about, a hobby or something that they enjoy, or the fact that they've got, 4 dogs or whatever the case may be. But that is a great way to inject personality and to come up with really good content for social media. Okay, let's talk about some hacks. All right. So hacks, consistency is super, super important, as I said earlier, but you don't have to be on social media 24/7. Forget about that. What you do need to do is just leverage tools and plan strategically. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. So if you're multitasking and you're doing your email or whatever, come back to me for a minute and take a note here, because this is probably where you're going to want to take a note. I'm going to tell you exactly how to create your own social calendar. So here's an easy tip. You can open up a Google Sheet if you prefer that, or an Excel doc. And then in the far left column, the A column, that's going to be your date column. So you can put date at the top. And then in all of the columns across the top in row A, I like to put things like the next one after date would be topic. And then it could be caption. And then it might be image links. And it could be, then the next row might be mentions, and it might be hashtags, however you want. But the reason for doing this is that you aren't going to believe how easy it is to plot out your social media. So keep listening. The next thing that you're going to want to do, and you can do it in the same sheet, is I want you to brainstorm 6 to 8 topics that you want to rotate through. Now, topics might be things like a blog post, could be video, tax tip, staff highlight, product highlight, did you know? You could highlight a special service. You could, if you're really focused on beauty salons, maybe it's, you do a post that's relevant to beauty salons each week. Whatever it is, pick 6 or 8, list them out. Now you go back over to your dates, and you commit to how often am I going to post? Well, let's just use an example. Let's just say you're going to get active on LinkedIn and you're going to post 3 times a week for your business on LinkedIn or for you personally. Great. You can pre-plan those. So if you're doing them, then put week of in like cell A1, and then underneath that, put 3 dates. And then underneath that, put week of for the next week and 3 more dates. You can batch some content. You just dedicate a few minutes and knock it all out at once. And then you're going to go in and fill in your topic column. And the topic column is so easy. All you're going to do is look at the 6 to 8 categories you chose, and you're going to rotate them. So let's just say you picked you just put in blog post, and then you might want to put in video, and then let's just say you put in text it. Let's say those are your first 3. Great. So you know the topic, what you're going to talk about. So you just rotate through those for a couple of weeks as you're planning content. Then you can go over to the next cell, which might be caption. And you're going to think, okay, well, what blog post am I going to share? And then you can decide what blog post you're going to share and put that link in there and create a caption about it. Now, this is where it gets even easier. So there's 2 other tools that are going to save you a lot of time here, because this is where people get stuck, like, oh, great, so I've got a blog post, I don't know what to say about it. Well, you can use Canva for creating images. Again, it is your new best friend. Highly recommend. So that you can create images, and it will create images based on social posts that you want to post to. And then you can also use certain AI prompt strategies for creating your social content. Now, at the end of this, I'll show you a link to, I've got a 4 ebook bundle, and one of those 4 is all about AI prompts and strategies for accounting firms, and I have social media in there. So if you wanted to pick that up, that's at the end of this, you'll see it. But what I recommend, don't necessarily go into ChatGPT 3.5 and say, write me a social post for this blog post, because you're going to get a terrible social post with ridiculous hashtags and way too many emojis. So you've got to do it right. But if you use AI, you can create captions. And then if you use, well, you can even use it for images, but they're not so great yet. I would use Canva for images. So if you use the social calendar and then you plot out, commit to how many posts a week you want to do, and batch out a couple of weeks, use the tools that I told you about with AI and with Canva, and then create some evergreen content. A lot of times on my social calendar, I like to highlight the spaces where I know that it's evergreen. I can use it over and over again, because then I can flip through and go, oh yeah, I haven't shared that in a while. And you can share it a month later or 2 months later. And then also, one thing I'm going to tell you is, don't feel like you have to create all your content. It's okay to share other people's content. In fact, it's great. So feel free to curate. If you find a podcast episode or a blog post or an article or anything from a reputable resource out there that you want to share, fantastic, do it and add a comment of your own. But I'm going to tell you too, sometimes people get really worried and they're like, oh man, this is really stressful. I have to be perfect. Everybody's going to see what I put out there. Don't panic. In any given case, like on Facebook, only 5% roughly of your followers will see one of your posts. Now, LinkedIn is a little different. I think that percentage hovers more around 20%, but don't be afraid to not be perfect, and don't be afraid to recycle some of your evergreen posts thinking people have already seen it, because they haven't, guaranteed. And if they have, they won't remember. And one last thing I'm going to say on this slide is that one thing, once you've started posting, start looking at the posts that got the most engagement. And if they're evergreen posts, definitely put them aside on a document so that you can recycle them and share them again. The more content you get out there, the easier it's going to be in the long run, because you'll be recycling a lot of it. Okay, one other little question. Cheska, do you want to throw the poll up there for me? All right, so this question is, would you be interested in automating your marketing and certain client communications, like an onboarding sequence for new clients and a follow-up sequence for those clients that don't move forward with you for whatever reason, so that they, if they're a good prospect today and they chose not to move forward, they still might be a really good prospect when they do get frustrated with their current service. So I'm curious on that. And I see I have a question, so I'm going to answer that. Is it better to post something than nothing? I focus on tailoring my posts to Instagram, but I still post that same content to Facebook and LinkedIn. Worth doing. I think I would tell you to look at what your engagement is. Facebook and Instagram, you can post very similar content, but I would say it's going to be a little different on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is definitely a different audience. I think I would just probably look at your engagement. If you find that one of those is not engaging at all, then I think I would just focus in on the one that you're getting the best engagement for. So yes, you can post the same content to multiple platforms, no problem, but I would just kind of watch and see where you're getting the most engagement. All right, hopefully that helps. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think we're good on this. So it looks like a good chunk of you guys are loving the automation idea. Perfect. Okay, because I've got another resource that will help you with that as well. Okay. Now, you guys are accountants. You love numbers. You love to measure. So, I can't do a webinar without appealing to the accountants here. So, if you're going to do social media, you got to measure it, right? But the way to do that is different depending on what your goals are, right? So the first thing is you have to figure out, what are my goals? Is the goal basically just to drive more traffic to your website because your website's converting well, or is it getting new leads? Are you just looking to get engagement? Maybe just grow your following? Depending on what that goal is going to determine how, what metrics you track, right? And so I would encourage you to familiarize yourself with any of the analytics tools inside the platforms that you use, as well as Google Analytics. So if you're looking really just to drive traffic to your website, because on your website, you've got it set up to where they're going to click on something and convert, you really do want to be monitoring Google Analytics to make sure that the traffic is being driven there. I also have to remind people, don't obsess over vanity metrics. I typically have to remind my mother of that because she is the generation that lives on Facebook and counts likes. So don't panic on that. Don't get too caught up in the vanity metrics. And I will tell you also, don't expect this to happen overnight. Just get out there and do it, commit to a cadence and be consistent. Do your best, and then you can see what's working on what platform, like the lady in the question had, and then you can make adjustments and you can improve from there. But again, if you're doing it completely organically, which is what most accountants do, and there's nothing wrong with that, meaning that you're not boosting posts and you're not paying for ads, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not even going to happen in 6 months. You're going to need to have at least a year of good cadence going before you're going to start to see some traction. But then you're going to all of a sudden start seeing traction. So it does work. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, I've got a couple minutes left to wrap up. Okay, so we've got a couple of takeaways that I want you to focus on, and then some action items. Okay, the key things that I really want you to take away from this is focus over frenzy. Pick one or two platforms that suit your goals. And if you're using Facebook and LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, Facebook and Instagram, and connect them together and want to count that as one platform, that's fine. But create your calendar and commit to a cadence. Go back to what I had said a few slides ago if you want to rewatch this, and literally create that calendar and batch your content. It's the easiest way to do it, and you'll be surprised how little time it takes you. Value is vital. Be sure to provide helpful and engaging content. No dry, boring, technical, or fluffy stuff that people don't care about or understand. Be consistent. I know I've said that till I'm blue in the face, but regular posting does build presence and credibility. And again, remember, this is a journey. This does not happen overnight. It evolves. You just have to keep showing up. That literally is 80% of it, I would say. And then as far as takeaways, some things that I definitely want you to take away from this: action items. Well, I talked about takeaways. Sorry. One of the things that's important to me is that you guys get value from this. And I want you to be able to go away and go, okay, here's the 3 things I need to do. In this case, there's 4. I want you to define your ideal client if you haven't already, and many of you already have. Who are you trying to reach on social media? Once you have that down, then you're going to know how to choose your platform. Where does your ideal client spend time online? And then you're going to want to create the content calendar that we talked about. I always recommend plan a week, maybe 2 out. Be flexible. Things are going to come up. And that's great. If you have 2 weeks of content planned and you've got something else that came up, push something out. No big deal. Then you're that much further ahead. And be sure to engage. If you have people out there who are commenting and liking, anytime there's a comment, always respond. That's really important. Social media is meant to be a dialogue, not a monologue. It may be very hard to get engagement when you first get started, but trust me, if you are consistent with it, you will get engagement. And then I think I had one other question here. Possible to get the slides. Yeah, I think you will get the slides after this. Great question. And then I was going to tell you too, if you are ready to tackle marketing on your own, but you just need a little help, we've got you. So we did launch a 4 ebook bundle. And if you go to this site, cajabra.com/DIY-ebook, you can use this. You can also find this on our website, by the way, cajabra.com, but you can use this 20% off code. It's going to be good through April 30th. So and one of the probably our most popular of the 4 ebooks is the AI prompts for accounting firms who want to create their own content. So it's everything from soup to nuts in here. There's some prompt chains and things like that. So this is a good resource for you. And then if you want just some additional guidance, feel free and book a call with me. Go out to cajabra.com and schedule a no pressure call, and I can happily strategize and point you in the right direction. And I think that's it.
Great. Yeah, to that question, you will get an email after this webinar and you can find your slides there. Okay. Well, thanks, Janelle, and everyone for taking some time out of your day to hang out with us. And right before we close the webinar, remember that we have a variety of webinars for you every month, and you can check those out on our educational webinars page that I have sent quite a few times. And I think the file just sent one last time for you guys to download. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel and newsletter so you do not miss out on news and updates that impact today's accounting professional. Well, thanks for today, everyone, and we'll see you in next month's marketing talk. Thank
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.